Hey, it is your buddy Peace and Harmony with you here today. We're zooming in and focusing in on a very important topic when it comes to really working through a relationship with a malignant narcissist or a psychopathic individual in your life. And that is the state of being stuck, of being blocked, of running into a dead end in your life. Life is no longer a happy place for you. Life becomes a place where you're caught up in struggle, the demands of working through the hurt that has been caused or originated from a pathological relationship. And this is really the state of being stuck, of being stunted, of not having a state of self-belief in your life. And the state of self-belief really comes from experience. And you need to then realize if that is so, if that is the case, then you need to come into a state, an awareness, an acknowledgement, which is the first step of healing, which is an awareness of what you're going through. And realizing that if you have encountered this, if life has become a struggle, you are no longer feeling empowered and you're no longer engaging with life, or really what we're going to call playing like a child. If you are to look at the state of life really as where you engage and interact with life as well as your higher self, it really is like the action or spontaneity of a child. And just like a child would go out and play, they take a stick in the dirt. Back in the day, we would play with sticks, rocks, you'd sit on the ground, you'd play jacks, you'd play, ping pong, you'd play pinball. And then it evolved to, video games and things. You need to then realize that you need to reignite and reestablish this state of playing in life in order to really engage it at the healing level. And I say this because I have received, a lot of feedback from viewers who are in this really sort of stuck state. In other words, they've really, hit a major speed bump. Roadblock in their life, and they keep trying to go up, and kind of orientate themselves still as it relates to this hurt in their life. So their future is still with the design. If we look at the quantum field and the area of the prefrontal cortex, which is arrived at decision making, choices, solutions, and able to really sort of look forward. They're still kind of living in the past. Their body is still in that trauma bond, that fight or flight, that depression, that anxiety, that state of self-belief. I'm not good enough. I don't have what it takes. They're still living on this negative operation. They're still living under this negative guise. In other words, disguise that they are not good enough. They have a wound, or really what I'm calling like a divot in your relationship with life. And a divot meaning like a crevice in, and people really become kind of stuck in that. They become stuck, physically, emotionally, psychologically. They become sort of stuck in this divot in their life, in their emotions. And a divot is if you think of it, it's kind of like a chink in the armor, or it's like a hole. It's it creates kind of a downward action in your life. And so if you've experienced this, it's really kind of like a hole. It's like a piece. It's like a piece of hole in the turf. And I'm just kind of looking, at the origin of this. It's a piece of turf cut out of the ground by a golf club in making a stroke. So if you look at kind of like that hole, people kind of their relationship to life becomes kind of like that. They become scuffed up. They become feeling damaged. They feel like they're not perfect enough. They have all this negative assessment and negative validation. And oftentimes, you have to be aware of, because there is so much negative projection that this malignant, narcissistic person has sort of projected onto you to control you. And so this is sort of in the mix. It's sort of in the formula of how you experience yourself and life. And so you have to then, the answer then is to get back to a reformulation of yourself on a sort of chemical level as well. Because the seat of the imagination is based in your self-belief, your experience with life. And you need to get to that quantum field, that state where you're able to then reimagine or reformulate or reinvent your life. And so to get to this, you need to understand that, you have the ability of perspective and almost as if the state of a new seedling in your life. So you can realize that if you kind of pick yourself up, they say pick yourself up by the bootstraps, but literally with your consciousness, and there's, to sort of disengage from the traumatic bond that has been placed there. And oftentimes people have so much gratitude or attachment to this individual. This person, helped you here, or helped you there. And you feel, this negative trauma bond with this person, or this person gave you life. Or, this person was your spouse. So you have a lot of this sort of over loyalty or over connection to this person. So you become stuck. Like they would say, back in the day, the old ball and chain. There's all sorts of slang for this. But, realize that if you are engaged with this person, if you're feeling sort of stuck, if you're feeling that, I can't go on without this person has made this divot, they have made this damage in my life, realize that that is nothing but a perspective. And as you present it then, you need to then go with open arms into life and realize I am good enough. And I now experience life from the state of self-trust, self-belief, and really sort of engaging with life, playing with life, interacting with life from a new place of being. And I know that like a lot of this is like really, intensive, or it might be difficult, but it does take time. And you do have to kind of heal through and disentangle a lot of the neurofibers, the neural network that has been generating a lot of that chemical in your emotional body, to sort of disengage from that. Because oftentimes to leave the familiar is very scary. We don't know how. We don't have a roadmap. But realize that oftentimes there is this divot, there is this lack of play in your life. There's this lack of re-engagement, a lack of playing with life from a healthy perspective, a whole perspective, an integrity perspective, which is not aimed at sort of reigniting the hurts from the past. So to heal through it, you really need to come through it, and it's going to be, when you have had enough. So sometimes the pain needs to be great enough where you need to then set it aside, literally, drop it. And we're going to work on tools and techniques for letting go, because a lot of people, I feel, on the channel, really need to experience that. We need to sort of, go through that a little bit more in depth. But I want you to really think about that idea of now getting into that sort of childlike spark of energy and spontaneity that comes with life, and playing at a new level, a new area of consciousness where that divot, that scuff, that hurt, that damage is not part of the interaction and play, but you're coming from a new, fresh, reignited, sort of really fresh terrain, sort of a new, fresh turf that you are now engaging in your entire life within all of your senses. And begin to introduce yourself to life from that new level. And life will embrace you in that, and furthermore, pour through into your life a whole series of new experiences in abundance, which hitherto you had not engaged in. And once you open your arms to that and sort of use your imagination, use your aha moments, and begin to energetically call that forth, life will meet you. As they say, the road will rise to meet you. I believe that's an old Irish saying. peace and harmony with you here today. I hope that these videos do help. Please share and please subscribe for more great tools, videos, discussion, and support.